everybody, how are you? Lying here with Pampered Chef, and I am going live today to share with you a really easy meal that you can put together, whether you're doing it for meal prep for lunches or you want a really quick evening meal after a busy day at work and kids' school, homework, and all that good stuff. So it's so very simple to do. Now, I'm going to do a whole food plant-based version, but you can certainly add in a meat protein if you like. We all like, let's face it, who doesn't love tacos, fajitas, burritos, whatever is your favorite. You can do that with this thing that I'm going to put together today. So basically, I'm going to take some vegetables, mushrooms. I have some Portobello mushrooms, some big ones sliced. That's going to be my meat substitute. And I've got some zucchini. I've got some peppers and an onion. And we're going to toss all that together with some of our Southwestern Seasoning. And we're going to put together some taco or fajita kits for lunches this week for work. I already have my rice already done. I did up some rice in the multi-cooker earlier. Literally 4 minutes, boom, done. I added a little turmeric and some tomato and some salsa to it just to give it a little extra kick. And I have to tell you, this may be my favorite new way to make rice. Also, in the quick cooker, I did some pinto beans. So once it was done, used my immersion blender, the Flex Plus immersion blender, and blended those up nice and smooth. Added some salsa, some seasoning and spices, and then a little bit of vegan cheese, and that's ready to go. So let's get our veggies on the bar pan and into the oven. So I'm using my large bar pan. Now you can oil it if you wish. You can, I typically stay away from oil for the most part. There are some things that I will spray the pan with or the container with. Typically I don't, but this time I will. I'm not going to have probably as much veggies as I'd hoped to use this pan. This is one of the older ones. You can tell by the bottom. The newer pans have that little wavy design on it, but this is an older pan, so I can't preheat it. I can't put it under the broiler. You also want to make sure that it's at least 2/3 full, whether you are using food, 2/3 full of food, or at least have it coated with oil to help prevent that thermal shock. All right, so I am going to spritz it just a little bit. I'm going to use our kitchen spritzer, and I'm going to make sure it's completely closed, and I'm going to pump it up. Just give it a few pumps. And then I'm going to spritz. So I'm not going to do much. Okay, and then once you're done with your kitchen spritzer, you want to go ahead and open that up. Release that pressure. You never want to store it with it pressurized. So there we go. All right, so I'm going to use some zucchini today. I know fajitas is zucchini, but I have a couple of small zucchini, and I really like zucchini, especially if it's roasted. So we're going to go ahead and cut these up. I'm going to cut the ends up just a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to cut them in half lengthwise. And I think we're going to go ahead and leave them. Well, maybe I'll cut them in half again. Do whatever is comfortable for you. You can use onions. You can use all kinds of different veggies. If you want to, poblanos. You want to roast some jalapenos. That would be really good. I love roasted jalapenos. But I didn't really see any yesterday at the store when we did our shopping. I really wasn't super crazy about what I saw, so I didn't get any. Probably wish I'm wishing that I had looked around a little harder, but we went to 3 stores and I'm thinking, okay, I'm done. I don't want to do that much shopping. 3 is enough for me. And sometimes, especially off season, it is so hard to get really good veggies up here. But we're at the mercy of what's brought into the stores, the producers, and what the stores get in is what we got. So we make do. All right, so we have some zucchini. I already have my portobellos all cleaned and ready to go. I'm going to take about half of each of these peppers. You could use green pepper if you like. I am not a huge fan of green pepper. And I think it stems from my mom used to try to make me eat stuffed green peppers. My dad loved them. And my mom would make them, and I'm just like, not a fan, not a fan, not a fan. And it's like everything in it. I mean, she goes, oh, just eat the rice. And it still tasted like green pepper. I'm like, no, I can't do it. And I'm just really not a big fan. So I'll use yellow peppers, red peppers, orange peppers, anything but green peppers. So I'm just gonna cut these into strips. Doesn't matter, you can do whatever size you like. And you know, I'm just gonna use half of that. I'm gonna go ahead and chop up the cap. Because you know what? I got salads going this week. So we're gonna chop these. Why not? If you're doing meal prep, maximize your efficiency. Don't get stuff out twice and have to cut it twice. Go ahead and you got it out, cut it one time, put it in a container. And then I got salad fixings. So those are getting put together here in a little bit. So this is a perfect opportunity. And you know me, any veggie scraps that are cookable go into the bag in the freezer, and that's my veggie broth for the next week, right? All right, so it's like this stuff, a lot of flavor. The cap, put it in there. Onion skins, put it in there. Garlic skins, put it in there. Anything, tomatoes, you name it. If it can be cooked in a veggie soup, basically that's what you want in your broth. All right, so let's tackle this. These are some good sized peppers, y'all. I mean, these are huge. So, again, save the seeds and the innards for our broth. Make some really, really good broth. And we're gonna chop these end and cap for our salads. Ta-da. Two birds, one stone, y'all. Same thing. If you're prepping chicken, let's say you are going to cook 2 meals this week with chicken. Buy your chicken in a quantity sufficient for both of them. And then if some needs to be baked and then shredded, you know, bake part of it and, you know, shred it. And then if you want to saute some, go ahead and cut it up. Have it ready to go so that when you go to make your meals throughout the week, it's a whole lot less that you got to do. I mean, oh, hey, oven's hot. Awesome. Nobody wants to spend all day at work or all day at school, come home, stand in the kitchen and cook, you know, for 2 hours, you know, an hour, whatever. So get everything as close to prepared as you can. And so all you got to do is throw it together. It's like last week, I actually made up my black beans on Sunday when I did my meal prep. I did some black beans. I did roasted some corn in the air fryer with some chili lime seasoning. And then when it was cool, cut it off the cob. So I had the container of corn, I had the container of beans, and I always have salsa, and I always have veggie broth. So I was able to saute a little bit of onion that I keep chopped in the fridge, some peppers, and get that going, and then add everything together. I made a fantastic taco soup in minutes. I mean, obviously you eat it, it's not going to be as good as it is the next day after everything melds. So lunches for the rest of the week, you know, it was fantastic. So I still have some soup left. So that's what's for dinner tonight, is the last of the taco soup. So it's awesome. So we've got some meal prep done here. We've got this is going to go in here. I'm going to take and pop these right on here, get them off my board. And then we're going to cut up an onion. Use whatever kind of onion you like. I like the sweet onions. That's so funny because that's another thing that I never would eat when I was a kid. Couldn't get near an onion. My mom, bless her heart, she had to make, when she made chili, she made 2 batches. One with no onions and no peppers. So basically I had beans, meat inside, and spices, and that was it. Tomatoes, you know. That's so funny. And now I will eat onions. And my husband's like, who are you? Where did my wife go? Because I will actually cook and eat with onion and eat onions. Cook with and eat onions. Yeah, something like that. All right, so I'm just going to cut this in half. And I'm going to just do a little strips. I don't want rings. And I'm going to break these up. So. Now, while I love the flavor that onions give, sometimes I don't know if it's a sensory thing or what, I just don't like biting into some onions. So if they're like this and they're cooked and caramelized, you know, sometimes I can eat them and sometimes they're big enough that I can just pick them out. I'm like all about the veggies except for the onions. I used to tell myself, you know, it's just like biting into a hunk of celery. Really it is. It's that same crunch. A little different flavor, of course, but it's that same mouthfeel. And I can eat celery all day long, but cannot do onion. All right. So I am going to spray this with just a tiniest little bit of oil. And then do our seasonings. I better add the rest of the onion for hubby because I know he loves onion. He's that person that he would go out and actually get an onion out of the garden, shake the dirt off, peel the outer skin, and he'll eat it like an apple. I'm like, well, I can't do that. So more power to you, anybody who can do that. Hey Margie, how are you? Trying to read bifocals. Yes, they do. They do have, green peppers do have a long lasting taste. And I'm like, no, it's not my thing, man. It's totally not my thing. Maybe as I get older. I'm 60 now, you know, and I still don't like them, so I don't know if that's ever going to happen. All right, so pop these. And this is so easy to do, guys. I mean, literally, just a couple of minutes. Pop it in the oven. Cook it up, and then set it aside in the fridge. And you've got it ready. So if you want tacos or you want fajitas, you can do it for the meal today, the day that you make it, or you can pop it in there and leftovers, you know, right-overs, as I call them. I don't like leftovers. I like right-overs. So we're taking bits and pieces and we're actually creating additional meals with it. I like that. All right, so let's give it some of our Southwestern seasoning. Keep my sleeves up out of the way here. I'm just gonna sprinkle a really good amount. I want lots of flavor. And I'm gonna toss it a little bit. Just use your hands, get in there. Okay, awesome sauce. All right, oh, not too bad. A little bit more than I thought I was gonna end up with. All right, so let's pop this in here and we're gonna let it bake. I'm just gonna keep an eye on it. Every oven is a little different. I know some recipes will say, you know, just until, you know, put it under the broiler and just until it starts getting charred, then take it out. Others are like, 400 degrees, 25 minutes, 15 minutes, you know, whatever. So I'm just gonna kind of keep an eyeball on it and see, you know, what looks good. You know, sometimes some vegetables will cook faster than others, and that's gonna dictate what you do with your, you know, your timing. And every oven is a little different. So every oven has hot spots, they have cold spots. If you have a convection oven, whew, awesome sauce. But those of us who don't, we rely on, you know, what we got, and you kind of have to eyeball it and watch it. Anytime you do a new recipe, you want to really watch it closely because the ingredients that you use versus the ingredients that were originally in the recipe, or even what you can get. Let's say I've been baking cookies today, so my kitchen is like a wreck. So I got cookie stuff everywhere. But I will tell you, I've learned that even though a brand of butter is supposed to be better than your store brands, that's not always the case, and they don't always work out the same way in your recipe. I made 3 batches of my sugar cookie dough today. All 3 of them use the same brand of butter, and it's not the one that I normally use. And I had to add almost 2.5 cups of extra of flour to get it to react and behave the same way, have the same consistency. It was so wet. So the butter that we used, which was a different brand than I normally use, has a higher moisture content, higher water content in it. And it really can wreak havoc with your recipe. So anytime you're doing a recipe, if you're not using the exact same brand that the recipe calls for, you're using something different because that's what we have, or that's what you prefer. Always the first time you make a recipe, keep an eye on it and make sure that your outcome is going to be what you want. All right. Things change. The weather changes the way that flour absorbs moisture. When you put wet ingredients into your dry ingredients, like when you're baking, the ambient temperature, the ambient humidity is going to make a difference in how that works. So keep that in mind. I know people say, oh, it's not rocket science. It's science, but maybe not be rocket science, but it's science. So it's pretty cool. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way. I'm going to put this in my freezer bag, my veggie bag. You guys know this is the way to go. So we're going to be making some veggie broth probably by the end of the week. So all of these trimmings are going to go in here. And that's going to make some amazing broth. Okay, so I'm using one of our cutting boards today. This is it's a white poly cutting board, and it's got the non-skid edges on it. I have a ruler. It actually has a ruler. That's the cool thing. So if you're like trying to be really precise with your knife work, but the great thing is also turn it over, use the other side. So if you don't have to worry about cross-contamination, if you get one side has onion, you don't want to cut something. Like if I'm going to go ahead and prepare some fruit snacks for work, I don't want to use the same side of the cutting board. Even wiping it off, you're still going to get that onion flavor and that pepper flavor in your strawberries. And that's not something that you want. All right, so there's that. So I'm going to have my containers set up here, and we're going to start portioning these out and get ready for our veggies, which is going to be next. So I've got my rice. I've got my refried beans. So I'm going to go ahead and take my refried beans. Now this is so easy to do. And I want to get on here one of these days. I want to get you a label. So if you have a can of refried beans in your cabinet, go grab those and look at the nutrition label and look at all of the things that that are in there that aren't real food, and it can be kind of surprising. Okay, Margie says, how long do you keep your veggie trimmings in the freezer? Until the bag is full. When that bag is full, it's time to make veggie broth. So, and usually that takes me maybe a week. So sometimes a little bit more depending upon what we're doing. Like this week, I didn't have as many veggies to chop. So I'll probably go ahead and run it into next week. But once that bag is full, it goes into the stock pot with a load of water and a couple of bay leaves and some pepper, and boom, done. It's awesome. It's so easy to do. And you don't have all the additives. That's what I love about making my own fresh veggie broth every week. And you don't have to do it every week. You do it based on what your needs are and what you have on hand, you know. Somebody said one time, I think it was Arnie's cousin, he looked at it one time because I posted a picture. It said, broth making day. He said, broth nothing. He said, that looks like veggie soup. Well, basically that's what you're doing. You're creating vegetable soup to cook down and gather all that flavor. You're using every bit of that vegetable or that, whatever you got going, whether it's broccoli or your onions or your peppers, you're using all of it. So once you've got it all cooked down, then you strain all that vegetable matter out. Now that goes onto the compost pile for your garden to feed your garden with whatever nutrients are left. Yeah, so it's a great idea. So I'm going to take my refried beans. Now these refried beans are literally just pinto beans from dry. It takes 25 minutes under pressure in the multi-cooker, and I let them sit. This is my cheat. I let them sit for about a good 20 minutes. So the pressure releases naturally and they continue to soften. That way it's much easier for me to blend it. I can strain all but a little bit of the liquid off of the beans, put them in a pan, and I can fire up the stove and I can start cooking them down. Take my immersion blender, my Flex Plus immersion blender. My Flex Plus system is the bomb diggity. I like it's cordless, so I don't have a cord draped across my stove. Bonus. And I just mash them up, heat them up, add my spices. I added a little Saison tropical flavor, lime. I guess it's kind of like a chili lime kind of seasoning mix. I added some cumin, a little bit of my homemade taco seasoning, no salt. That's another one that's so easy to do, you guys. Taco seasoning, if you look at the packet on taco seasoning, it's horrible, the things that are in those packets, those pre-made packets. Yeah. If you can, make your own. It's so simple. Just a few ingredients, and most of these ingredients you already have in your pantry. All you have to do is get them out, measure, put it in a big jar, shake it up, and boom. Was it the other day I heard somebody on one of the shows, you know, it was, and, you know, yada, 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 and Bob's your uncle. And it said, and Bob's your uncle, and Nora's your aunt. And I'm like, I've never heard that part of it. I would always heard Bob's your uncle, but never, and Nora's your aunt. I thought that was pretty funny. All right, so I'm going to take some of my, funky segue here. This is real, you guys. I don't script any of this. All right, so here's my rice. We go with the flow. I've got my garbanzo beans in the multi-cooker now, and they're already done. So I can take those out and put those in the deluxe cooking blender and make my hummus for this week. So literally, I've already got our breakfast done. So I've got some strawberry overnight oats with a little bit of cacao powder. So it's like chocolate covered strawberries for breakfast. It is so good. So good. Guys, I'm serious. This rice may be my next favorite way to, my new favorite way to make rice, because it is, tastes so good. Like I could finish the whole bowl. All right, so I've got my rice, I've got my refried beans, I've already got my tortillas ready to go. So I'll put a piece of parchment paper over the top just to keep my tortillas from getting sogged out by any moisture that is in the vegetables and the refried beans and everything. So really, you can keep these in the fridge for several days. I'm only making 4 because we still have a couple other things in there that I've made later in the week that will need to be eaten, and I'm going to make some salads up too. So I've got some veggies already chopped for my salads. So that's next on the list, is to go ahead and get the rest of our stuff made for salad and put that together. But yeah, this sheet pan thing is so easy. Oh, I can smell this, you guys. Let me take a peek. I've got the oven set at 400. So it's really, oh, that smells good. Actually, I'm going to take a pair of tongs and I'm just going to toss those around a little bit. You know, I should. I don't think I have them out. We have a new pair of tongs. I'm not sure what I did with them. I had them out the other day. They're spatula tongs, and I don't have them here. Did I put them in here? Oh, yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Spatula tongs. These are the bomb data, you guys. This is awesome. So it has the same kind of mechanism that all of our other tongs do. So it's directional. So once you turn it, it opens and boom, done. Turn it back up the other way and it closes. So it's got a grippy side. I'm trying to get this so you can see it. So this side's got little ridges on it and the other side is completely flat. So you can use it either way. Perfect for flipping burgers, on the grill pan, you know, whatever you like, or turning things in the oven. So I'm just going to give these a quick little stir and a flip. That's smells so flippin' good. And it's almost done. Almost. So 400 degrees really in my oven. My oven does tend to run a little hot. So probably another 5 minutes maybe, and it'll be completely done. So I'm going to set these over here out of the way. And then we're going to get to our hummus. Okay. We have all of our chickpeas. They're all been cooked. They're all nice and fluffy. I do cook them a little longer because I'm going to put them in the blender and I want them to be really, really smooth. And it doesn't take as long if they're a little bit soft. So when I put those in the blender, I'm going to add some garlic and some roasted red peppers. And it makes really, really yummy hummus. And it's so easy. And you don't have the preservatives. You don't have all the additives. I don't use oil. I do use tahini. But I use a no added oil tahini. So it only has the natural oils that are in the sesame seed. It doesn't have anything else added. It's literally just sesame seeds blended. So there's no salt. There's no anything else. See, all these things are gonna go in my bag, all these little bits. So I'm gonna peel my garlic. And I'm gonna do that with our garlic peeler. It's so easy. Pop your garlic in. Oops, roll up your sleeve, it gets in the way. You hear that? And out pops a naked garlic. So easy, so very easy. You don't have to use a knife, you don't have to cut the end off and try to peel it off. I used to love peeling garlic. Now I like it even more because all I gotta do is do this and shake it out. Shake out your bits of garlic skins. Here it goes. You can hear it let go. Ta-da! And Bob's your uncle, Nora's your aunt, right? Hey, Danny, how are you? Oops, that one didn't. That was a little bit. I've got a lot of garlic skins in there. There it goes. There we go. All right, I think that's going to be all I need for my hummus because I'm not making a huge batch. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. And all of this will go right into my little bag there. So this is going to go into my blender. Just going to put those right in the blender. I'm going to get my, brand new jar. That's right. I ran out the other day. My roasted red peppers. All right, stubborn thing you are. So I can get a hold of this. These are the jar slips. And then I can't hang on to it. I think I have to mount this puppy. As my hands are getting, as I age, my hands aren't working the way that they used to. My grip strength isn't as good. So I'm going to take some of these peppers. I'm just going to pop them right in here into my blender. There we go. That's going to be perfect. You can add all kinds of seasonings if you want to add some Italian seasoning, onion powder, onions. You could add onions. Okay, turn that off. You can make some really amazing hummus, different kinds. Where's my spider strainer? Oh, you know what? Already used it once today. So I'm going to use my spider strainer. Now I'm going to reserve some of this juice because some of it I'm going to put in here. I don't want to water down my hummus. And the water that my beans are cooked in has got a lot of flavor. So that's going to go in to help get that the right consistency. So I won't toss this just yet. Now, if you are whole food plant-based, You can save the water that your beans were cooked in, the aquafaba, and you can actually use that for making whipped cream. Yeah, you can whip it up and you can actually whip it and sweeten it so that it is a whipped cream substitute. You can use whatever sweetener you like, whether maple syrup or agave or brown sugar or whatever you like to do, and that way it's a nice facsimile without having the animal fat and protein. All right, so we're gonna pop on the blender. I'm gonna add just a little bit of the water. I may have to add a little bit more. We're gonna pop this over here. And so I've already run this thing out several times today. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on. We're going to put it on grind and press it and let her go. And that is probably the fastest hummus ever you've ever made, right there. Here it is. So no oil. It's literally garbanzo beans or your chickpeas and roasted red peppers and garlic and a little bit of the aquafaba, and boom, done. So this, I will let this cool, and then I'm going to put that in with some carrot sticks, celery sticks, cucumber sticks, and that will be snacks for the work week. So very simple. So legit, your meal prep, sorry, I want to get that away. Meal prep doesn't have to take all day. It can be very, very easy to do. And if you are, I think something's just about done. I can smell it. If you're that person that's so very, very busy throughout the week, then taking a little time on the weekend to get things done ahead of time so that during the week you're not so like, by the time the next weekend rolls around, it's like you're going to feel light years different because you didn't have to spend so much energy, mental and physical energy, getting things going throughout the week. All right, so let's take a look at this. Now, I will tell you too, when you use stoneware and you set it on your glass cooktop, you always want to make sure that you've got something underneath it. Okay, so don't ever just set that on your glass cooktop and it'll shred your cooktop. So always, always, always have something underneath. Oh, I do that every time, guys. Every time. So I think I can probably go ahead and let this go just another couple minutes now that I get it out and I can actually see it. But I'm going to. These are looking good, guys. The mushrooms are getting soft, getting a little bit of char, as are the onions. Look at that color. Isn't that gorgeous? I think I can put it in there for just a couple more minutes. Okay, directional, close it. I don't have to worry about it popping open on me. It's awesome. I love those things. All right. And then once that's done, that's going to go into our containers, and I'll put let it cool just a little bit, put a piece of parchment paper on the top of it, and then I'll put my tortillas right in there on top, close it up, boom, lunch is done. It's so easy, and I've got a head start on my salad stuff. So hey, this is cool. So anytime you are doing anything in the kitchen, think about what you've got coming up. Chop once. You know, don't chop twice. Don't get that same onion out and chop it again on another night during the week. Go ahead and chop it all at one time and put it in a container, store it in your fridge, have it ready. You might as well. It's going to take less time and less dishes because you're only dirtying the knife up once. So, all right. So, hey, Virginia, how are you? All right. So I am going to get out of here. I'm going to finish this up and start chopping on my veggies and get my snacks ready for the rest of the week and done. And then I can decorate cookies. All right, guys. Have a great one. If you have any questions, comment below. Tell me, what is your go-to for your weekday lunches? What do you like to take for lunches? If you take your lunch, or do you buy your lunches? Curious to know. All right, guys, have a great one. See you later. Bye-bye.